Thank you, Roland, for the powerful lead, and so proud to be part of the Roland Martin Unfiltered Network. Keep doing your thing for the people. We are proud to follow you with Truth Talks, the show that shines a light in dark places and brings the barbecue to the public. Let's go.
Are y'all ready to roll? Let's go.
Welcome in, Truth Tellers. This is Truth Talk Season 2. We were hot to death on Fox Soul last season, but we've moved to a new platform, Roland Martin Unfiltered, the Black Star Network, so we could be bigger, blacker, and more unapologetic than ever. We have our Dr. Viral star from last year still with us, holding it down, the core of the team, the superstar, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. How are you?
Thank you, Toure. What's up, True Tellers? You heard my brother Toure. We were the #1 show on Fox Soul first season, and we are definitely about to proceed that this season. Got some hot stuff for y'all today. Can't wait for you guys to meet our new co-hosts and for y'all to hear our different perspectives on these really great trending topics.
Speaking about new co-host, Dr. Sarah Fontenot was part of the show last season. Now she's an even bigger part of the show this season. Welcome to the team, Sarah.
What's up? I am so happy to be here. This is for my people back home that want to take accountability. We are not playing victim to anything. We are taking our power because truth talks. Let's get it, y'all.
And we have Demetri Wiley, the Lost Lover Boy podcast, holding down the millennials and the old Zoomers. What's up?
Hey, listen, I'm only here because my grandma told me to be, so I appreciate y'all.
Sarah, you were part of the show last season. I was not. Can you give me a little clue on what we're trying to do this season?
Yes, of course. So it's just amplifying Black voices. I personally am coming from a more conservative voice. So I know y'all about to be all up in my comments, but that's okay. I'm here for it because like I said, truth talks. And no matter what you hear, there's going to be something that you hear back in your home or in your car, wherever you may be, that you relate to.
Yeah, for sure. We're 4 different people, 4 different perspectives, different generations, different political ideals. So it's going to be an argument, but we love each other. But we want to hear from you in the comments what you want us to talk about, where we're going with it. Let's get into it. Trending truths. That's how we're going to start. Story number 1. Oh, boy, y'all. The Diddy trial, the trial of the century. This is wild. And Kid Cudi was on the stand this week. He called Diddy a Marvel supervillain and described how Diddy broke into his house after Cassie told him where he lived. And Cudi is dropping Cassie off at the hotel, making sure that she's safe. And Diddy is like, I'm in your house. So he calls Diddy and he's like, are you in my house? And Diddy's like, yes, I am here waiting. Can you imagine? Like, you're not at home and Diddy is in your house waiting for you.
That's wild.
And then he allegedly blew up Cudi's Porsche, right, after threatening to do it. So this was some of the wildest testimony that we've had thus far. Demetri, how do you feel about this whole situation, the Kid Cudi conversation about what Diddy was doing to him, how he's trying to control him? This is Cudi leaving the courthouse after testifying.
For me, honestly, it's really giving Mojo Jojo or like Dr. Duke from Smurfs. It's really giving evil villain, like good evil villain though. And it's funny to me because I think it alludes to how powerful these people are. But just like you see in modern movies, modern cartoons and everything, the villain always gives themselves away. Before you blow up a car, you say, I will blow up your car. Like you always giving yourself away. For me, it's actually crazy how much power this man possesses and how it can be manipulated in people's lives. And it's actually kind of scary.
Dr. B, part of what happened here is that I feel like Cassie looked to Cudi to try to save her. And he's literally trying to save her this evening, right? And he ends up wanting to confront Diddy physically because he's trying to save Cassie. Complicated situation when the brother is like, I'm trying to save the sister, and now I'm like in this battle with this maniac.
Yeah, that's what happens. They said allegedly she left and was in some hotel room and called Cuddy and said, hey, come get me. And he did show up and he did come and get her. And so, you know, he was trying to do his dating or boyfriend role of trying to save her. But at the end of the day, the saving has to come from Cassie, right? She has to want, again, to figure out how to save herself, figure out how to get out of the situation. Because as you see, anyone she comes in contact with, whoever's in proximity with her, ends up being a direct, effect or a direct risk and a threat from Diddy. And so it's almost like anyone involved in the situation, as we see in the court proceedings, are all a part of his power and his control.
Yeah, Sarah, this is what Cassie talked about, that after this whole situation with Cuddy, she went back to Diddy because in her mind, her calculus was, if I stay with him, then both of us will get hurt. But if I go back to him, then neither me nor Cuddy will get hurt. Like, this is the way that she's thinking in the midst of this traumatized situation. Go, Sarah.
Yeah, you know, I pity the mindset that is stuck inside of a victim, that is stuck inside of low self-worthing and to an extent a level of self-hate, right? It's crazy because two things happened when he was in Diddy's house. Did you guys know that allegedly Diddy had put the dog in the bathroom? You locked the dog up in the bathroom while you were sitting in this man's house. And I just feel like that's such a depiction of how he is. He is such a power and control freak. It's the same thing that he's done to Cassie. He put her in the bathroom. He put her in a freak off. He put her wherever he wanted to move her. That's what he does. And he gets away with it. But with good reason, when you think about how this man literally blew up Cuddy's car without, when he said, what are we going to do about my car? When he was testifying, and Diddy said, what do you mean? So it's crazy how he continues to get away with all of the things that he gets away with. But, it's hard for me to relate to someone that is a victim mindset. It's a really big challenge for me because I've been through that. Moved to a whole country by myself at 20 years old.
No, I know, but that you survived it with all the resources you have, family, church, all the things that set you up to survive that situation. And thank God you did. And I'm uncomfortable using your success in that moment, in your moment of trauma and challenge, to judge what she should have done in her moment of challenge and trauma when she was. And I would think that your experience would lead you to the understanding of how difficult it is for her rather than judge her. I feel like you're judging her.
Well, I'm observing her, right? It's not a judgment as much as for me, it feels like an observation. My observation is 11 years is a really long time to be getting abused. And it really just gets worse and worse over time. And so when that time is focused on, you've already established that you have a predator and you have the prey, and she's going to keep showing up and she just wants to be loved so bad. It's like 11 years is a long time. When it happened, whether it was year 1, year 3, year 5, year 7, or year 10, you should know it's time to go at some point.
Demetri, this man, Diddy, he screamed at me on at least 2 occasions. And the power differential, I wasn't working for him, but I'm in the music industry general sphere as a journalist, as a reporter. So, it was very difficult, right? And you understand the massive power imbalance between you and this other person. And it, he was threatening to me, right? And I'm like, I don't think you can actually hurt me because you're not going to call my publication and get me fired. But it was definitely like a traumatizing situation that you understand. You see like power, like showing itself to you. And it's difficult. And Cuddy is dealing with that as well. Of like Diddy showing like power on him.
Absolutely. And I think this is not about Cassie to any degree. Like, this exact conversation is not about Cassie. And the reason I say that is regardless of how you frame that or look at that, look how powerful this man is. You break in my goddamn house. First off, how you get in my house? Like, if I lock my keys out my house, I can't even get in my own house.
Demetri, Cuddy got a house that's way bigger than
Hey, listen, you never know.
There's plenty of entry points.
Hey, listen, but all I'm saying is the thing about it is for a man to enter your domain and don't think you're going to shoot his ass, call the police. He actually pretty
He did.
untouchable.
We
Like,
did
let's
call
be
the
honest.
police.
He
I did
actually
call the
believes
cops.
he's pretty fucking untouchable. And the audacity, that's one. But two, right? Look at Kid Cudi keeping silent for so long. He's scared. And regardless if he, like you said, he's yelled at you, and you've seen it personally. There's people living everyday lives who are afraid to talk back to their employer, who are afraid to stand up to themselves in front of who they actually work for. This man just got motherfuckers in fear. You don't even work for him. Terrifying.
Let's move on to another really important story that is really difficult to deal with. It's really weighing heavily on my heart, something that I want like every Black person to know about, because we got to talk about stories like this so it doesn't die. Qaazir and Naadir Lewis are two 19-year-old twins who back in early March were found dead at the top of this mountain in North Georgia, in an area that those of us who have spent time in Atlanta, like me, I went to Emory, we know the area where they were found is Klan-ish area, Klan area. So like, watch yourself, right? The Georgia Bureau of Investigation came in and said, oh, it's a double suicide. Case closed. Let's move on. This man, Scott Curlin, this white man, found the bodies, took photographs of them, and tweeted those photographs. So he was arrested for that. The family is like, let's look at him. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is like, we're done. We are moving on. The family is like, no, there's no way they killed themselves. They were very happy. They were not depressed. They had plans in the future. So, but there is internet searches from them saying, how do you kill yourself? How do you load a gun? So there's a lot on both sides, Dr. B, and I'm not really sure what's going on here.
Well, let me say this. I stand with the family. I think the family should continue to press until they figure out exactly what happened to their boys. It was said that they used one gun to take two lives, which means one brother had to kill the other brother, watch him die and suffer, and then in return kill himself, all in one scenario. Not saying that that's not possible, but saying that that doesn't sound believable with the evidence that we have. The other thing is suicide is at an all-time high within the Black male community. And so this ties right into the statistics, right? The evidence isn't matching up though. These boys went to an airport. They never boarded their flight. They went camping, 100 miles somewhere else that they never camped to. So all of it is just, I feel like there's so many moving parts that for the family just to fall back and say, hey, yeah, this was a suicide is not something that I think they should do. I think they should continue to push. They should get organizations that are going to help them. And I think this white guy, Scott or whatever, he doesn't even deserve for us to say his name, to get the recognition, okay? Who tweeted these babies pictures of their dead bodies should be under felony charges and doing jail time for a very, very, very long time. And I'll end with this. When you tweet something like that out, that is called secondary trauma. Okay. Every single person who was looking at that, regardless of their race or their creed, whether they have kids or not, are traumatized to the second degree. This man needs to be charged for those charges as well. I think it's a sad story. It breaks my heart. And I really, truly hope that they find justice.
Demetri.
That's a funny word you use there, Dr. Bryant. Justice, right? The thing about Black people, Black culture, us, me being an African-American man, I'm very aware of this. If a Black death is mysterious,
come on.
If it's mysterious, it's often ignored. If a Black death is obvious, it's still denied. There is no justice for Black death. We don't get justice. We get explanations. And that's my problem. When something happens with white death or in white culture, whatever the case is, when it happens there, they go Sherlock Holmes. We got to stick with Chief Wiggums from the fucking Simpsons. Like, how the fuck, how are you better the moment the culture shifts? I don't understand it personally. Honestly, being a Black man, it's terrifying out here knowing I got a Black son that I have to protect one day. You look at the statistics, like y'all said, and the facts of everything. This is KKK territory they were found in. Like, let's be honest here. I'm just lost for words.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Demetri, because it feels like we don't matter yet again. Because the problem for me is this white man, Scott, is a firefighter. So you mean to tell me this is a person that's supposed to save lives? This is a authority figure, and he's defiling bodies like this on the internet? The fact that that is even in alignment with someone that's supposed to save people is absolutely absurdity. And, you know, we've talked about the suicide rate and how it's been spiking over 50% from 2013 to 2019. Why? Because there's, again, this pushed out rhetoric and agenda that says, and these actions that show we don't matter. Like you said, Demetri, we don't get justice. We get explanations. They're ready to close this down like this. Why? Because it's easier to give an explanation to the family. But I do have to say this because there's some weird stuff happening in this case. Why did the boys Google how to commit suicide? Why did one of the boys order ammunition 3 days prior to the suicide? And at first they thought it was a suicide murder or murder-suicide. And then they said it was a suicide-suicide. So you mean to tell me, but the gun had their prints, each had their prints on one gun. So you mean to tell me that one brother shot himself, the other brother went and got the gun to then shoot himself?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
But then also, why are you ordering ammunition? Why are you Googling suicide? Why is this white man finding you in the middle of the woods before we even knew that you guys were gone? None of stuff makes sense to me.
Those are all great questions. I have all those questions. There's so much sort of mystery and cloak in here. It's very opaque. I don't really believe that there was a suicide here, and it ties into what Demetri was talking about as far as the fear of being a black man in this country. I am way more afraid of the police and whatever, you know, Proud Boys, KKK, all the white supremacist organizations that still exist, and many of those people are in the police force. We have a whole segment on that. I'm more afraid of them than any criminal in this country, right? Like I feel like I am far more likely to get shot or hurt from a cop or a white civilian rather than somebody who I'm supposed to think is a black criminal, right? Like that is my real fear, right? And to sort of have my life ended or have my children's lives end out of something like this, right? Like a weirdo white people trying to come in and like take us out sort of situation, because I'm not buying the suicide thing at all. We're gonna have to keep an eye on this case because this is a lot of questions, important, young. I mean, these are two young people. These are two lives, just the beginning of their time. We have to support the family by continuing to talk about this story and not letting it die. Hopefully, at some point, we can get some sort of closure. Demetri, you have one more thought on this?
I think I've dealt with suicide. I've dealt with mental health issues. I've been there. I understand as a black man the weight of everything going on and how terrible it can be and how much you have to live in fear with the pressure of the world already. I'm gonna tell you something. I attempted to take my own life and I'm still here. So thank God. But if I was gonna take my life, I didn't travel to the woods. I did it in the comfort of my own home. And all I'm saying is you have to be able to move into the minds of someone who's actually dealing with a mental illness. You ain't got to travel to the fucking woods to do so. You do it right where you stand if that's how it is. But, you know, it's a heavy case. Let's please keep an eye on it.
It's powerful that you acknowledge that you've had suicidal ideation in your life. I have had suicidal ideation moments in my life, and the place was a huge challenge because I'm like, I feel comfortable at home. I can get access to the things at home. I can do, but my God, I could never have my children and my wife walk in and he's there and then they have to, so I would have to leave the house. And then when it says like, you have to leave the house to do it, well, then, you know, then it becomes very, very complicated. And I don't think this case is about suicide at all. So let's keep an eye on this story as the months and years go on, because this is an important one that we have to keep an eye on this, at least for the families, to support them in that way.
Yeah, but hold on, Toure and Demetri. Thank both of you as Black men for being vulnerable enough to share that with us, because that is huge. And someone's going to hear that. And I hope that they are very inspired by your boldness and your courageousness to share theirs. So I got to say thank you, because brothers don't speak up on it enough. I'm in this field for 17, 18 years. I love you, brothers. I'm happy you did not go through with it. I'm happy that ideation did not turn into an actualization. And I'm so grateful that y'all share that with me. So seriously, I love you, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, you know, keep in mind, I'm sure you've seen this in your work, Dr. Bryant, that the suicidal intent is not like that person is suicidal and they'll just try and try and try. No, you have depression, and then you have moments of spike where you're like, I can't deal with it anymore. But if you can find a way to get through that day, then it goes down, and then you're back at your baseline of depression. And like, maybe you can if you can hang on, then you can get to a safer place emotionally and keep. But please talk to a professional like Dr. Brian. If you're like, hey, don't just rely on your friends. Don't just rely on the internet. Like, go talk to a professional who is trained to help you in those situations. There's hotlines. There's therapy professionals like Dr. Brian and others that you can find. You could talk to somebody 5 minutes from now. So like, there's no excuse, right? And there's no more stigma. So let's involve the professionals.
Yeah. And then Toure, just you want to let everybody know, call 988, which is a suicide hotline for those who may not be able to get into session quick enough, who you don't want to call 911, you'll be on hold forever. Call 988, which is a suicide hotline, and that is nationwide. So no matter where you at, you can call that and get some help.